Okay, trivia question today for bigbandtheory.net is Rush. Uh, when they played tours, they had noticed everybody had tons of Marshall amps and all sorts of speakers on stage. And because they're so funny and have a sense of humor, on at least 2 tours, they had 2 different things in each different tour sitting on stage. And I was at the Snakes and Arrows tour and I just cracked up. So what were these 2 items that they put on the stage in place of guitar amps? Pause. Okay, so one of the earlier tours before Snakes and Arrows, they put a bunch of washing machines and stacked them up like Marshall amps. And the washing machines would run through the whole entire concert, which cracked me up. Then on the Snakes and Arrow tour, which I was at, they had rotisserie chicken machines, big glass rotisserie chickens, maybe 30 chickens in each of the visual through the glass. And then they would have this big chef with a big giant chef hat come out just in the middle of the song and check on the chickens every 20 minutes or so. And in both cases, in both tours, they never acknowledged that they had those on the stage. They never brought attention to it. It just was a crack up. Okay, trivia question. On a regular album, 33 1/3, we call them albums today, the kids call them vinyls, you would put the needle on the first song. And we all know it's going 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. So the question is, did the first song spin faster, slower, or the same as the last song on that same side A album? Faster, the same, or slower, the first song? Pause. Okay, well, the answer will surprise you because most people think the same. It's 33 1/3. It's all the same. But if you think about it, it's 33 1/3, but it takes a much longer trip to get around the outside than it does the inside. In fact, almost twice as long. So it turns out that the first song, that's why a lot of people put their best song first, the needle is moving twice as fast, almost, as the last song. And if you know anything about music and music production, when you record, even on tape back in the old days, if you went 30 inches per second, it was better than 15, which was better than 7.5, which was better than 3 3/4, which was better than what a cassette tape was, 1 7/8 or something like that. So anyway, actually the best song quality is the first song. The last song is the worst quality. It's going slower. That's why even when they made 45s, they kicked it up to 45 instead of 33 1/3 to try to kick that quality back up again. Okay, trivia question. There's only one album that I know of that recorded a double album, actually, and had only 4 songs. So 1 song per side of the 4 sides of the double album. And by the way, this is bigbandtheory.net if you want to go and check out all of the information we have. So, pause. The answer is Yes album, and it's called Tales of the Topographic Ocean. They spent a lot of time on this album, really quality music, but probably because it's long and probably because people don't have a high attention span for such long songs, it was not critically acclaimed at the time, but maybe it needs to be critically acclaimed. So check that out. Tales of the Topographic Ocean, 4 songs, 4 sides. I think it's the only one ever done like that. Trivia question. Who wrote the song that Jimi Hendrix recorded? And it was amazing, but it was a rendition, a cover song of All Along the Watchtower. And I'm sure most people think it's Jimi Hendrix that wrote it, but it's not. And the question is, who really wrote that song? Pause. The songwriter was Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan actually wrote All Along the Watchtower. Now, if you have to compare something Bob Dylan recorded to something that Jimi Hendrix recorded, I'd say it's game over. So, great song. Thank you, Bob. But thank you, Jimmy, for getting a hold of that and turning it into something. Okay, trivia question. When I was growing up, I heard the song I Shot the Sheriff by Eric Clapton. This was like in 1974. Great song. Then later I heard that it was Bob Marley that recorded it also. And I heard his version, and of course it was reggae style. And I thought it's okay, but he copied Eric Clapton. But then I got to thinking, well, really, who copied who? Because Bob Marley is known for writing songs. So who really wrote He Shot the Sheriff? It's A, Eric Clapton, B, Bob Marley. Pause. Well, it turns out, I didn't know until really about 5 weeks ago, that Bob Marley actually recorded that song in a reggae fashion. Eric Clapton heard it early, so I think he recorded that maybe in 1973. Eric Clapton heard it so quick and loved it and turned it into more of a rock style song, and I Shot the Sheriff became a giant hit. Now, Bob Marley wasn't too happy with the way that Eric Clapton did it, but it turns out, like everything, it was such a big hit that people actually then went to listen to Bob Marley. Some make the argument that if Eric Clapton hadn't covered it, we wouldn't even be talking about Bob Marley right now. So sometimes things like that are for the better, but I was shocked. I thought for sure Eric Clapton had written that song. So I was always wrong on that trivia question. Okay.